Jay from the Kubz Cast. Welcome back to another episode of me reacting to scary animations and me just telling you guys stories of my own experiences and you guys telling me your own experiences, and it's a never-ending cycle of experiences. We're about to make more of those experiences right now. If you guys cool with that, you down with that? Everybody get ready and buckle up, because here we go! First video of today's episode is called The Man Under The Streetlight. This is from Wansee Entertainment. Link to their channel will be in the description box below. Let's check it out.
I'm scared of the dark.
Pussy?
And I have a good reason for it.
Okay.
You might be thinking, so? Almost everyone is scared of the dark because something happened to them.
Not me, because I'm a man!
Well, that
Just kidding,
is
I'm
true
scared of
for
the
me
dark. I'm
too.
terrified.
Here's my story.
I always sleep with the TV on.
About 2 years ago, I ran away from home. I don't know just what I was thinking at the time, but I left with no food, no water, no belongings, and no coat.
umbrella?
It was a very rainy day, and I sensed that I should either find shelter or I'd be soaking wet. So I decided to walk to my school and stay there for a few hours to dry off, as I was already wet and cold on a rainy day. As I arrived, I laid down my head and quickly fell asleep. And when I woke up, it was pitch black outside, and I could barely make out anything.
Wasn't it already pitch black when you ran away from home? It was dark as balls. It was darker than underneath my balls.
At least it stopped raining, I thought. I decided to just go back home, as I wasn't far and I was very hungry that time. As I got up, I stopped. There was something in front of me, under a streetlight, about 50 yards away. It was a man about 6 feet tall, and he was wearing a black coat with a hoodie over his face, so I couldn't see his face. At first, I thought it was my dad who had come to look for me,
He's just like,
so I felt relief. But I didn't want to get into trouble, so I hid in a bush nearby and peeked out. The man was standing there and looked around for what it seemed like a half an hour. Then, under the light of the streetlight, he pulled something out of his pocket. I couldn't make it out at first, but then I realized it was a kitchen knife.
That's a huge bitch!
what's he gonna do with
Then he started
that?
to run toward the bushes.
What?
No, towards me.
Bro, he was bald as shit
Exactly.
too!
I grew frightened and sprinted out of the bushes like an arrow.
Oh
He
man,
already
that
knew
dude
I
is
was there.
sprinting!
I
He
didn't
wants that
stop
gold
running
medal.
until I got home without ever looking back. So I survived. But to this day, I still wonder what would have happened if I didn't run on that day.
He would have sliced that ass like a pizza pie. Come on, no?
Or worse, what would have happened if I didn't wake up at the school? I developed my fear of the dark from this incident. It's so bad that now I have to sleep with a nightlight or the hallway light occasionally, because I'm afraid that the man whom I saw will kill me or kidnap me someday if I don't turn the light on.
He didn't even know who you were. You ain't special. He was just thirsty for blood. Next video of today's episode is called True Hide and Seek Horror Story Animated. I used to play hide and seek with my school all the time. I used to hide and never go to class, and they would try to find me. They always found me every single time and I got in trouble, but we're gonna check this out right now, so here it goes.
I have 3 sisters, Crystal, Kiara, and Melissa.
And they all ugly.
I'm the youngest and only boy. Growing up, we lived in a haunted house. In fact, the neighborhood was haunted. All the neighbors had experiences. Apparently, it was all built over a military grave site, but I'm not sure how true that is. This was years ago. I was about 5, I think, and my sisters were around their early teens. Our cousin, Vincent, who we call Vincey.
You called him Vincey?
Bruh.
Really? You can call him whatever you want. You can call him Vinny, you can call him Vin, Big V, Mr. V Card. Instead, you call him the pussiest Vincent nickname there is, Vincey?
Was staying over. He's
Bro!
the same age as my sisters.
The hell's he doing?
We used to play hide and seek with all the lights
he
in the
jacking
house
it?
turned off, apart from
That
any
was so
room our
weird.
parents were in. So this night was going great.
I just gotta say, too, that having like a bunch of siblings like that and playing games must have been so cool growing up. I only have one sister that I grew up with, and just having like a bunch of siblings, I envy that. I really do.
The only source of light was a flashlight that the seeker had. Crystal was usually found quickly because she had, and still has, really long curly red hair, and it almost glowed bright orange in the light.
Huh, that's
Kiara
nice.
has long straight blonde hair, so she was found quickly too. But Melissa and I have black hair, so we could blend in better. However, this night, Kiara was the seeker. She found us fairly quickly and only had Wansee to find. So she went to our parents' room and shined the light inside. Our parents had 2 white wardrobes that were attached on either side of a white dressing table, with a mirror on top of it. Kiara could see one of the wardrobe doors was slightly opened, and inside of it, in the darkness, she could see eyes staring out at her. She laughed and shouted, "Found you, Wansee!" But the eyes didn't move. They just stared at her.
Oh,
"I
that's
see you,
so
Wansee,"
creepy.
she laughed again. Suddenly, on the opposite side of the room, the curtains of the window flew open, and Wansee jumped from the window ledge laughing.
Oh, that bloody
Kiara looked
eye!
at him
That
in
is
confusion.
terrifying.
But I thought,
Oh, that's gonna make
suddenly
my eyes
the
water.
confusion turned to fear when she looked back at the wardrobe. The eyes were still there,
Oh, jeez,
wide
dude.
and staring at Wansee, but then slowly looked back in her direction.
Guys, I'm getting the heat.
Kiara screamed and quickly turned on the room light,
Crap.
and they could both now see that the wardrobe was empty. Nobody hiding,
Bro,
no pets, no boxes, nothing.
that is so
Hide
disturbing.
and seek in the dark soon became a memory after that.
Oh, I hate that so much. I mean, obviously, we all have closets in our house. Maybe not like a freaky deaky wardrobe like that. But you know how we always have it slightly ajar? Like right now, my closet is actually slightly ajar, like this much. And I'm freaked out right now because I can see the blackness in it. And I don't even want to look there right now. Let's go on to the next video. Next video of today's episode is called The Bathroom Stall Airport Stories Animated. This one is from Llama Arts. I will also put their channel in the description box below. Airport bathrooms, they're hit or miss. Some are really nice and some are classy. Some are assy. Like some smell like straight up butt. Some people have butt type people in there, like rude people. So, like I said, it's hit or miss. This bathroom in this video is probably going to be the scariest shit that I've ever seen, besides the one that I take in the airport. Let me just shut up.
I'm 26. I was at JFK Airport in New York with
Sometimes
5
I talk
friends.
too much, guys. I need
All
to know
of
when
us
to shut
were
my
about
own
to fly
mouth.
down to Florida to spend the week in a beach house. We had a few more minutes to kill in the airport before we would board our flight, and I really had to go to the bathroom all of a sudden.
I really had to take a
I
fat
was baffled to
shit.
see a line out the door for the bathroom. I noticed a janitor walking by, so I asked her if there was another bathroom nearby that wouldn't be so crowded. She laughed and told me she shouldn't really be telling people, but there was another bathroom past the door she was pointing at, down a narrow flight of stairs and to the left.
Wow, what a nice
I
lady.
thanked her because she was extremely nice.
She kinda
and
looks
followed
evil,
the
though.
direction she gave me.
See that look? Like,
Sure enough, behind that door that no one would think to open was a small stairway that led down to a really poorly lit, skinny hallway. It was so narrow that if 2 people were to pass by each other, one person would have to stand against the wall to make room.
that looks like a big-ass hallway to me, my guy.
I found the bathroom right away. The door was extremely heavy and hard to push. Also, the lights were on inside of the bathroom, and it was filthy in there. It was evident that nobody ever really came in there to clean. Now, this is a little embarrassing to mention, but when I go to the bathroom in public places, I always try to make sure nobody else is around to possibly hear me going. So after checking
Nothing
the
wrong with
stall
that.
to see that it was unoccupied, I went back into the hallway for a second to take a look down both directions.
Why would
To the
anybody
left,
go in there?
was
Nobody
somebody
knows about that.
standing at the end
Oh
of the
my
hall,
god.
in a dark, unlit section of the hallway. It was a disturbing sight to say the least. All I could do was awkwardly pull my head back into the bathroom and try to pretend we didn't see each other. I went into the stall and just stood there biting my fingers for a minute, dreading the thought of that door opening. And of course, it did. I saw the man's black shoes under the stall door as he walked to the stall next to mine. He shut the door, and then there was silence. No sound of the man unzipping his fly or sitting down, nothing. I realized
air
I
coming
didn't
out of
really
his
have
ass
to go
cheeks.
anymore, and
Nope.
went to unlock the stall door. That's when I looked up and saw the man's head peering over the stall, looking at me.
What the fuck?
I nearly had a heart attack.
He wanted to see this man's pee-pee!
Bounced off the walls of the tiny bathroom.
He wanted to see that man smell
I ran
pee-pee!
back up those damn steps and out that
That's
door,
all there is
and
to
then
it!
casually walked back over to my friends. I was breathing heavily.
What was
but
that man trying to
nobody
look at his
seemed to
pee-pee?
notice. I didn't tell anyone.
I would've punched him if he'd
just
look at my
because
pee-pee.
it was embarrassing, and I didn't want my friends to make fun of me in any way. I know, I guess that seems stupid now. We went on to have our Florida vacation and all had a good time. Of course, the thought of that creepy man haunted me every night that week.
What? Was he trying to look at his pee-pee again? Next video of today's episode is called School Lockdown Stories 2. I didn't even check School Lockdown Stories number 1, but that's because I'm a rebel, baby. I don't need to check 1. I jumped straight to 2. Luckily for me, though, when I was in school, we've never had any actual threats. We've had, like, drills or, like, bomb threats where we practice for situations like that. And if you guys have had any experiences of a school lockdown, let me know down low in the comments, because I do want to read that.
I'm 22 years old, fresh out of college, and I recently got a job at my old high school as a sort of computer intern in the school basement. The basement of the school is very messy and disorganized, but there is a small 3-person office that's actually very nice down there. It has 3 nice big desks, 2 mini fridges, a flat screen TV mounted on the wall, and oh so satisfying air conditioning, a luxury the students and teachers cannot enjoy in the school. And of course all the school
Why is there
servers
fire
and
coming out from the
other
window?
computery stuff.
Are they being taught in hell?
I got the job because 3 of my old computer teachers flat out adored me. I could actually consider them as real friends, not just teacher figures, so they all helped tremendously in landing me this job.
God, gag on their balls anymore, will ya?
It's been great. Until something that happened a few weeks ago. My 2 co-workers that shared the office with me, Dave and Gary, weren't in the office at the time. They were upstairs working on papers or whatever. I was eating my sandwich during my lunch break when I got a phone call from one of the women in the front office telling me the school was on lockdown and that somebody, possibly armed, had entered the school.
Oh, jeez.
There wasn't much that I could do other than turn off the lights because, surprisingly, as nice as this little office was, it didn't have an actual door to it, just a big opening, and the door to the whole basement didn't even have a working lock. For my own safety, I did turn off all the lights in the office and my computer screen. I kept my phone on the desk, texting both Gary and Dave, but they wouldn't respond. I sat down there in the dark, playing games on my phone for like 20 minutes, waiting for the call from up front to tell me to resume working. I had no idea what was happening. I couldn't hear what was going on upstairs from down here, but I was not allowed to make any calls until I was informed that the lockdown was over.
Why are you not allowed to make any phone calls?
The noisy basement door opened. As the creaking echoed across the basement and into my office, I sat up from my seat, wondering if I should call out Gary or Dave. I was eager to get some info from them. Someone then came running down the stairs, and their footsteps were approaching my office. I pushed away my chair and crawled under my desk.
Holy crap, that is scary as hell.
Somebody entered the office, but did not turn on the lights. There was just silence. I can't even describe the fear I was experiencing.
I don't even want to know what he felt during that
noise. I'd be a dead man. Suddenly, my phone dinged as I got a text message.
It's a you up text.
I felt my entire world shrivel up and die at that one moment as I clenched my teeth in fear. Footsteps suddenly moved closer to me until I finally dove out from under the desk in capitulation, begging whoever it was not to kill me. And just then, someone grabbed my arm and pulled me up. It was some guy in a red plaid button-up, jeans, and a reddish-black cap.
What, in the hipster?
He told me, "It's okay, I'm just down here hiding with you." "What's going on up there?" I whispered to him. He kind of ignored my question and asked me if there's an exit down here. I told him, yeah, around that way.
Wait, he's the guy with the guns, huh? He's the reason why there's a lockdown. There's no plaid shirt, trucker hat wearing guy that works at a school like that. He's the killer!
Before he could do anything else, I asked him, "Who are you?" There was a brief moment of silence before he started explaining he was coming in to pick up his son when a teacher told him to hide. After his explanation, I checked my phone and saw the text I received was from Dave. It said, "Dude, this is fucking crazy. Some guy with a gun shot Mr. Buckley. He's wearing a red shirt and a hat.
Yikes!
Whatever you do, don't come upstairs."
Oh, yikes!
I was about to reread that text out loud to the man until I realized. I looked up and felt my stomach sink. The man seemed to catch on to my suspicious stare. Panicking, all I could think to do was to run for the upstairs.
Oh, fuck me, senpai!
A gunshot echoed through the basement, and I could hear the bullet ricochet off something metal in the darkness. But thank God the bullet missed me, and I made it upstairs.
Yeah, thank God he had dog shit
Fortunately,
aim.
police were waiting at all exits, including the basement exit, and caught the man the second he opened the door. More good news. Our teacher, Mr. Buckley, survived the gunshot.
Yeah, Mr.
It was
Buckley!
later
That's my
determined
guy!
that the man and Mr. Buckley had some beef for whatever reason, but that was never revealed. All we know is that Mr. Buckley couldn't have done anything that would have warranted this kind of reaction. And I know that the sound of that gunshot will forever echo in my mind.
Damn. What the heck? Why would you show that on the last screen of the video? Man, good thing that guy had dog shit aim. Last video that we are going to check out of today's episode is called Hitchhiking Horror Stories. These always fascinate me because people who are hitchhiking always seem to have an interesting story to tell. So let's see what this person's story is.
3 months after I turned 16 in 2005, I got my first car, a '99 Toyota Camry. On a warm Saturday night, when my friend Alex invited me over to one of his friend's big parties, I knew I wouldn't be in a condition to drive the Camry home afterward. So we carpooled with Alex's girlfriend, Brianna. We lived in the countryside of Virginia, meaning less big parties. Meaning when there was a big party, it was a huge deal and everyone would go.
Damn, look at the animation here.
We lived about 5 to 10 minutes away from this kid's house. I knew where he lived as I was acquainted with him, but not exactly friends. The whole ride there, we took the same 2-lane highway type road through the woods, and this kid's house was actually on this road further down. At certain points on this road, there were a few houses on either side, and then it would just go back to being a long, empty highway again. The house was tiny, like a lot of houses around the area, but the party was held outside anyways, since his closest neighbors were relatively far away.
I have never seen a house like that in real life.
Noise wasn't an issue. I'll skip most of the party up until the point that Brianna, who was supposed to be our designated driver, had to suddenly leave for a small family emergency. Alex said it was fine and that we'd find a ride home. Well, fast forward another few hours and another few drinks, and I could barely even walk straight.
Oh yeah, he's lit!
I checked my watch, and it was like 2 in the morning.
Hey, they get it at this party. Why was I not invited?
I started looking for Alex, but I couldn't find him anywhere. In fact, it seemed like everybody I knew had already left. I could barely even think straight, but I was still furious at the fact that Alex could have actually left without me. I asked to use the party host's phone and dialed Alex's home number. After 2 tries, I gave up and then realized I shouldn't wake his family up.
Man, he's probably taking his girl to Pound Town right now.
What else to
Leave him alone.
I dizzily stepped out onto the road and began walking back home. I knew this walk would take anywhere from half an hour to an hour in my condition.
I would not do that.
Maybe
I would have just stayed at that guy's Texas Chainsaw Massacre looking house.
The slight shine of car headlights on the road was fading in from behind me. Jumping for joy inside, I lifted up my arm and stuck out my thumb.
Yeah, pick me up!
As the car neared, it slowed down and came to a stop right next to me. The man driving the '98 Ford Explorer rolled down the window and asked where you headed. I told him my house was just down the road and beyond a right turn, probably slurring my words beyond comprehension. He chuckled and told me to hop in. I thanked him and joyously hopped into the truck. I was exhausted, and I remember completely disregarding things the guy was asking me because I was so close to just passing out. And that's what happened. The memories of being in that truck turned to a fog, as I'm sure I passed out.
Don't tell me he's tied up.
The
Please
next
don't.
thing I remember, I woke up still in the moving truck. The guy looked at me and laughed, but didn't say anything. I looked around and realized the road we were on wasn't familiar. I nervously asked, where are we going?
Okay, so, scenario. You guys are this guy. You are drunk, and you're trying to walk home. You end up putting your thumb out, do the hitchhiking thing, and then a guy stops. This guy, he picks you up. You pass out. You wake up. He starts laughing like, heh, 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 heh. That's when you open the door and do a barrel roll. You don't stay in the car, okay? I beg you, do not stay in the car. Just talk and roll. Talk and roll.
He then said, "So what were you doing out this late anyway?" As the man answered my very straightforward question with another irrelevant question, the sobering reality of the situation hit me. You can let me out anywhere," I told the man.
Yeah, you can let me out in these creepy woods right here. My house is just beyond here.
The man responded with a firm no. I felt like throwing up as he said that. No, I really actually felt like I was going to throw up.
You said no!
I started to gag as I felt more and more nauseous by the second. The man took his eyes off the road to look at me, and that's when I thought of the perfect distraction.
Throw up on him.
I turned in his direction as I continued to gag, and he started to kind of lean away and slow down the car. Thankfully, I drank as much as I did because I finally threw up and made a point of doing it all over the man's lap.
Ugh!
The man yelled in frustration and stopped the car, and that's when I took it upon myself to run for my life into the woods and duck behind a few bushes. The man came following into the woods with a flashlight, and on 2 separate occasions,
tickling the back of my ball sack
straight over me without noticing.
Like that bass.
Eventually, I heard his footsteps walk even further into the woods past me. That was when I ran back to his truck, but unfortunately, he was smart enough to lock it.
Why would you run back to the truck?
By some miracle, I saw another car approaching in the distance, and I ran out into the middle of the street, waving my arms like a lunatic.
It's an even creepier
guy. The car
guy.
tried to avoid me, but I wouldn't let it. They were forced to stop, and I yelled at them to help me before they came back. Once I told them that I was kidnapped by the man who was driving that Ford Explorer, the driver agreed to give me a lift. Not to the police station or anything, but to my house. I made it back safely, where I couldn't thank the driver enough. I immediately woke up my parents and told them. My dad wanted to know if I got his tag number, and then I felt like punching myself in the face. I failed to get the simplest information from the guy that would have allowed me to actually properly report him.
Yeah, but when you're in that scenario, that's kind of the last thing you're thinking about.
99 Ford Explorer. I made sure to give Alex a piece of my mind, and part of me always held a grudge against him ever since, just for abandoning me at a party without telling me. I haven't seen him in 4 years now, however, and this was actually the first time I even thought about this incident for almost a year now. As time goes on, even the worst of memories may start to fade, but after writing this to share with the internet, it's once again fresh in my mind.
Okay, that one was actually really good. But back to the license plate thing. I don't think that when you're actually running for your life, like, you know, when you have a fight or flight response, his was obviously flight. Like, he was gonna run away, try to find a safe spot, get away from this guy. I don't think you're actually thinking, okay, I am going to make it out of here for sure and get his license plate so I can tell somebody in the future. No, you're just thinking about getting away. You're not thinking about the next step. You're just trying to think, I have to survive, I got to get away. So he can't be punching himself and kicking himself for that. All right, guys, we're going to do one more video of today's episode. I know I said the last one was the last video, but I'm really into these, okay? So this one's called True Home Alone Stories.
I recently moved out, and I already have a horror story to tell. The house I moved into isn't anything impressive. It's just a house that's appropriate for 1 or 2 people. But I'd say right away, I started hearing weird sounds coming from inside the walls. I first heard it in the kitchen, and then in the bathroom, but on night 3, I started hearing it in my bedroom.
Are you sure the sounds from the walls weren't, "Ay, papi"?
I was sure there was some kind of animal living in my walls. I just had to figure out how to get rid of it. The next morning, I didn't even have enough milk to fill the bowl of cereal. I couldn't believe I hadn't realized I needed more milk. In fact, I seemed to be eating up all of my food pretty fast. I woke up in the middle of that night to the sound of breathing. Not my breathing. It sounded just like the breathing of a person. I flipped the lamp on and it stopped. I chalked it up as my mind playing tricks on me after waking up. The next day was really hot, so I turned on the AC for the first time. I checked every single vent, and some of them weren't blowing any air. One of them being the vent right next to my bed.
Don't tell me there's a dude sleeping in there. Like just straight up living in there.
The vent. It was just the inside of the wall. It seemed that whatever air duct was in there had been removed. Unfortunately, I didn't look into the air conditioning system while buying the house, so I didn't know about this. That night, I had to sleep in the heat with no AC.
Okay, my bad, got that surfer body.
Constantly rolling around and flipping the pillow over. Then, I eventually started to hear the breathing again, but this time, I was fully awake. I knew it was real this time.
Okay, that's actually creepy as shit.
It was coming to my left. I looked to my left at the air vents. The sound was surely coming from in there.
Yikes.
I grabbed the flashlight again and shined it in through the vent. I dropped it and screamed. There was someone's face peering through the cracks of the vents.
God!
The first thing I saw were their eyes, open wide and glowing.
Fool got them baby
I
blue eyes
all the way
too.
Down and out the house. I soon found out there was a crazy, dangerous homeless man living in my walls, and he had been eating my food ever since I moved in.
This dude had the balls. He doesn't even have a full head of hair. He got that like backside shit going on, you know? Like when you don't have the top going on, but you got a party in the back. This man, with his bald ass head, has the nerve to eat this man's bread that he spent his own bread to get that bread, and he's just eating all his shit. The nerve! Oh, and it's over. Wow. Alright guys, so that's gonna do it for this episode of me reacting to scary animations. I know you guys are loving this series. Please leave a like on the video if you want me to keep this up. I see you guys' comments of other channels you would like me to react to. I am going to do that in the future, but if you guys want to see more of this series in general, make sure you guys give this video one big fat like. And tell a friend today that Jay from the Kubz Scouts is dead, dude!